Welcome back to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis of www.michaelgaddis.com. I am a top producing real estate agent located in Carlsbad, California. And although I do service all of San Diego County, my primary focus is in the communities as far south as La Jolla, all the way up to Oceanside, and as far east as Fallbrook. So, before the break, we were discussing how to select a real estate agent and at least give some tips on what you should kind of be considering when interviewing real estate professionals. But now we need to talk a little bit about how to market your home. What's the strategy? What's the plan? And that should be something that you ask your real estate professional during the interview process. What is your plan? How are you going to sell my house? You should try to see what kind of tactics they're going to use. Now, there are old school real estate professionals and kind of more new type of real estate professionals. Old school real estate professionals rely a lot on some of the old tactics that used to work, such as, newspaper ads, magazines, things like that. Maybe some, relying really heavy just on open houses. However, the internet has changed a lot of things. It's not just changed how, the buyer's ability to search for houses. It's also changed the seller's ability to market their houses. So whenever it comes time for me to do a listing presentation, one of the things I like to bring with me is a report from the National Association of Realtors. It's called the Home Buyer and Seller Generational Trends Report from 2015. Now, one of the things this talks about is just where buyers are coming from, how they're looking, what's going on in their minds. So I'm a real statistical type person. I like to take data, I like to extrapolate data from different sources, and I like to try to read and interpret it. I guess it goes back to my days in law school when I had to research so much, but I research lots of things. And one of the things that I found out is that that you have to change with the times. Your marketing tactics cannot remain static. If you remain static, you're going to become a dinosaur. So I use the data found in this generational trends report, and I use it to help guide my marketing plan. So one of the things I look at is the first step taken during the home buying process. So when I look at the statistics, it says that 43% of all buyers looked online for properties for sale. That's the first step they took, 43%. They looked online. The second, this you might find this very interesting. Do you know what percentage contacted a real estate agent as their very first step? 15%. Only 15% of buyers contacted a real estate agent as their first step. So that tells you that you should be putting a lot of emphasis on the internet. Number 3, just so you know, looked online for information about the home buying process. So if you add that, which is 12%, so you add that 12% to the 43% for that looked online for properties, 55% of all buyers, their first step was somewhat internet related. So, I mean, I really think that, that you really need to make sure that whoever's coming to your house to present a marketing plan, is up with the times and understands where these buyers are coming from. It's interesting because if you go down the line, you can see drove by homes in neighborhood, only 6%. Visited open houses as their first step, 3%. Yeah, that's right, 3%. Looked up information about neighborhoods or areas, 3%. Contacted a builder or visited builder models, only 2% did that. And then how about this one? Looked in newspapers, magazines, or home buying guides. Guess what percent that was? 1% of buyers. Just 1% looked at those magazines and those newspapers. So if somebody's coming to your house and they said, yes, I'm going to put your house in this magazine or I'm going to do this, you already know only 1% of buyers are basically starting their search there. Now, what's interesting is if you look at where buyers ended up finding the home that they purchased, what resource was their home that they ended up purchasing? Where did it come from? Well, 43% of all buyers say the internet is where they eventually found their home. So 43% is an internet. A real estate agent was 33%. A yard sign or an open house sign was 9%. A friend, relative, or neighbor was 6%. A home builder or their agent was 5%. Directly from seller or they knew the sellers was 3%. Print newspaper advertisement was 1%. And we go back here to home book or magazine, and this is where it gets startling. There's a little asterisk here, and the asterisk says less than 1%. So less than 1% of all buyers, according to this report, found the home that they eventually purchased in a home book or magazine. So I know what happens, especially with a lot of you people who have luxury listings out there, maybe $1 million and above. You know, you come in and the listing agent, your real estate agent you're interviewing says, I'm going to put your house in this magazine. I'm going to do this. They're using all of that basically as a tool to help get you to sign. It's not, according to these statistics, helping them sell your house. So any resources they're using to put it into a magazine is probably more to try to attract more people to them than it is to attract buyers to your house, at least according to these reports. So I would look beyond that. So here's the most important piece of information that I show people when I go on my listing presentations. You know, what information sources were used by home buyers in their home search? Well, if you look at according to this, online websites were used by 88% of all buyers. That's 88% of anyone looking for a house looked online as one of their resources. Now, what's interesting is because this report breaks it down even by age brackets. So even the 69 to 89-year-old bracket, the 69 to 89-year-old bracket, the percentage was 65%. 65% of all people between the ages of 69 to 89 used the internet as one of their resources. So that is really amazing because a lot of times people say, oh, well, you know, the older generations, they're just not in touch with the digital or internet world. Well, these statistics are stating otherwise. I think everyone is coming around and realizing the benefits of utilizing the internet in their home search. Now, if you go down, the next was real estate agent. 87% utilized a real estate agent. And then it goes down to mobile or tablet website or application, 50%. A yard sign, 48%. Open houses, 44%. Online video site, 26%. A home builder, 18%. Here we go with print and newspaper advertisement at 21%. Home book or magazine, 14%. Only 14% of the people even looked at a magazine or a home book. And as we could tell from the previous statistics, less than 1% actually found the house they eventually purchased in that book. Then you have billboard at 4%, television at 4%, and relocation company at 3%. So what does that tell us? You know, as real estate professionals and as home sellers, what do we need to do, according to these statistics, to really attract, you know, our buyers to our properties? And a lot of what goes down to it is you have to understand the psychology of a buyer. What are buyers looking for? How do they think? You know, how are we going to get to them, and how are we going to drive them to our house? That's what we need. We need to figure out how we're going to drive those buyers to our property. And I think it depends a lot on what type of home you have. But I mean, in general, you have to look at these statistics and then kind of analyze. And what you have to do is think, okay, this is my type of property. Let's say you're looking at a 2-acre property in Bonsall, which is located between Oceanside and Fallbrook. Let's say you're looking at that. Well, that's a very unique property. And so what you should probably do is just kind of like what I mentioned in one of my previous shows. If you are going to, sell your house, one of the things I always recommend is our first strategy. The first thing we want to do is we want to visit our competition and act like buyers. So what we do is we pull up every house within a certain, geographic radius of your house. And basically what we do is we just go visit them and ask them, just to treat it like as if we were going to buy a house. That really allows us to see what buyers are seeing. So it makes us look at our house more objectively. So we can compare the attributes that this house has versus our house. And that's a really, really important thing to do. But once you do that, you have to have a real estate professional that understands social media and the internet, because that is the wave of the future. Marketing to people via social media and the internet. Now, how do you do that? Well, that takes a lot of kind of knowledge and experience. It's not, for example, if you take, let's say, SEO, which is called search engine optimization, is how you can kind of write an article or put something on the internet and you try to get like Google or one of the web browsers to pick it up. So if you take, for example, the search words $1 million homes San Diego. If you Google that right now, if you're in front of your computer, you Google $1 million home San Diego. When you look, you're going to see ads on the top, ads on the side, and then you're going to see stuff in the middle. The top and the sides are paid. The middle is called organic. That means it's the search engine is generating it just by its normal algorithms. Now, if you Google those keywords, you're going to see my website coming up number 2 right behind Dream Home Magazine San Diego for that keyword search. That takes a lot of skill to be able to do. I don't pay for that. That comes up organically because I know how to do search engine optimization. So when you're looking for a real estate professional, you really need to take into consideration what kind of experience and knowledge do they have related to the internet, because as all these statistics have told us, that's where buyers are looking, and we need to put your house where buyers are looking. So after the break, we're going to visit the world of reverse mortgages. You are listening to The Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer.
AM 1170 The Answer and AM 1170theanswer.com.